ever feel like, I don't know, you're just drowning in data? Like you're in Microsoft Power Platform and, you've got lists and dashboards and you've got automation happening. But when it comes to actually like managing the processes themselves, it's like someone just cut your rudder off your boat. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, you're not alone, right? We hear this a lot from from listeners. People are like, Power Platform, it's amazing for data. But when it comes to BPM, it's like, hello, is anybody home? So today we're doing a deep dive on exactly that, and we're going to look at something called AgileXRM as a possible solution. I'm really curious to see what you think about this one.
Yeah, no, this is right up my alley. I've worked with so many companies you wouldn't believe who are just banging their heads against the wall trying to make their processes, actually flow inside the whole Microsoft world. They've got the tools, but it's like trying to fit square pegs in round holes.
Okay, so let's break this down a bit. One of the things that keeps coming up in like every article we read is this idea that Power Automate, while crazy powerful, is really more of a developer's tool set. It's not exactly a roadmap that your average everyday business user can just pick up and follow. So like, how does that actually play out in the real world?
Well, picture this, right? You're trying to, let's say, map out a complicated approval process, but all you've got is lines of code. Could you technically do it? Sure. But is someone who just needs to understand the process at a glance going to get it? Probably not. And that's the problem, right? That lack of visibility. It kills you.
It's like trying to follow a recipe that's written in like ancient Greek or something, right?
Exactly.
You might figure it out eventually, but who's got that kind of time? Especially in business, right? Everything's got to happen yesterday. Yeah. And that's where this Agile XRM thing seems to come in. It's being called the missing BPM layer, the thing that's supposed to finally bring some order to the chaos of Power Platform processes. So what's the secret sauce?
Well, one of the biggest things is that AgileXRM lets you actually visualize your workflows.
Yeah.
And not just as like lines of code. We're talking flowcharts, diagrams, the kind of stuff anyone can look at and understand. And I think this is huge because it means you can bring in everybody, not just the developers. New employees, boom, they see how things work. Compliance audits, no problem. It's all right there.
Yeah.
Bottlenecks, easy to spot.
Yeah, it's night and day, right? It's like instead of stumbling around in the dark with a hand-drawn map, you've suddenly got Google Maps with Street View. You're not just following directions, you understand the whole journey.
Exactly.
And it's not just about seeing the process either, right? It's about making it simpler. I mean, one thing we hear over and over again from our listeners is how much they hate dealing with manual tasks.
Ugh, the worst.
And AgileXRM tackles that head on with automation. But we're not just talking about automating a task here or there. We're talking about automating whole workflows.
Absolutely, yeah. There's this case study, actually, where this one company, they were using AgileXRM, and they automated their whole invoice approval process, which, used to be this nightmare of like routing papers around and a million emails back and forth. And after they got AgileXRM up and running, 60% reduction in processing time. Way fewer errors. It's wild.
Music to my ears. Just think about all that time you get back, right? Time you can actually use to, think strategically. But it's not just speed either, is it? There's this whole control aspect too.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And that's what really seems to set AgileXRM apart. Like it actually puts business users back in the driver's seat. You're not reliant on IT for every little change or update.
So wait, you're telling me that with this AgileXRM thing, I can fix a broken process myself. I don't have to send a carrier pigeon to the IT department and wait 3 weeks for a response. That's kind of amazing.
Right. It's huge. And the best part is you don't even have to be a coding whiz to do it.
Right.
AgileXRM lets you design, implement, tweak your own workflows. No code required. So not only is IT freed up to actually solve world hunger or whatever it is they do, but the people who actually use the processes every day, they're empowered to make them better.
Which just makes sense, right?
100%.
And this whole control thing, it's not just about convenience either, right?
Yeah.
Especially for our listeners who are in, highly regulated industries. Think about compliance.
Ooh, huge one. Huge. And AgileXRM has you covered there too. Full audit trails, everything documented. So, whether it's an internal audit or, God forbid, an external audit, you're golden.
It's like having a guardian angel watching over your shoulder, making sure you don't trip over any compliance hurdles, right?
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, we've covered a ton of ground here, but I think one of the most impressive things about AgileXRM, and this came up again and again in our research, is how well it plays with the rest of the Power Platform.
Oh, yeah. It's not some clunky add-on.
Yeah.
It's like it was made to be there.
Yeah.
And because it's built on that familiar Microsoft foundation, it's not this huge learning curve to implement it.
So for the folks listening who are already knee-deep in Power Platform, this isn't like ripping everything out and starting over. It's more like, you suddenly found the secret cheat codes.
Exactly. Level up.
Exactly. Okay, so if we're trying to like sum all of this up, it really seems like Agile XRM could be the key to transforming Power Platform from, a really powerful tool into a truly comprehensive business solution, one that doesn't just organize your data, but actually empowers users at every level to improve their processes and, just work smarter.
Totally. And, thinking about it all, it really highlights this need to bridge the gap between the techies and the non-techies. I wonder, are there other tools out there like this, or are there other approaches we could be taking to make process management less intimidating and more accessible to everyone?
Hmm. That's a great question. And I think I'm going to leave that one hang in the air for our listeners to ponder. If today's deep dive has you curious about Agile XRM, and I bet it has, definitely go check it out. That's it for us this time. Happy automating, everyone.